What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk a little bit about Titanfall 3. Now, this has really been a whirlwind, and this is something that, I saw it at the beginning, okay? This really started about a week and a half ago. We had some prominent leakers in the community, right, for like what it's worth and in the group that they're a part of. Pretty respected, and I feel like, not people that were just going to kind of make stuff up, but we had this build-up that Titanfall 3 was happening and Respawn was working on, and then even today, I think very early today, same person comes back and says, yeah, single player, done. The game is almost done with development. It's going to get announced. It's going to come out, within the next year or so. Live service components, all this jazz, really building a very nice narrative for us. So I saw this a little while ago, again, when it kind of first came out last week. There wasn't immediate reason to doubt it, but it definitely seems sketchy. Respawn is a busy developer. And more than just them being busy and more than just like we kind of know what they're working on, but also, well, actually, I kind of just said it, right? We know what they're working on and we also kind of know what they're not working on. We also know they've canceled projects. I think they've canceled 2 multiplayer, like shooter type games in just like the last 12 months. So we know what they're doing. We know they're busy. They're working on like 3 games and maybe actually the potential of a 4th game. And then to expect that they're also doing Titanfall, while they also have canceled games behind the scenes, just never really felt all that likely. Well, in case you wanted the end of the story, today, Jeff Grubb comes in hot, right? He comes out there and he says, this is not happening. Whether or not it never happens remains to be seen, right? But Jeff Grubb made it, and I mean, you can trust him, not trust him. I mean, I guess it's a battle of the insiders, but Jeff Grubb definitely, I think, is more reliable. But, he says, like, this is not the case. If it is the case, it's definitely not coming out like this year or next year. They're not even remotely close, if it's even happening. I wanted to wait on it. I wanted to make this video because, Titanfall, I think, is a phenomenal franchise, and I think it's one that, the fandom is still there. The fandom, I think, sorely, misses it, and I think many people would be very pleased, to get a Titanfall 3, but it just feels like, it feels like one of those things, maybe like a Deus Ex type situation, although this one I feel like could be more popular, right? Titanfall 1 and 2 were never all that popular, but the way that the genre has gone, the way that just, it seems to have had this like organic behind the scenes kind of build up, you can very easily, I think, imagine them announcing a Titanfall 3, releasing it into the world, and it being good. Like, it doing well, right? Kind of this being like, okay, well, it finally has clicked. Sometimes you have to let games, by the way, like sell mediocre-wise, and then all of a sudden it like pops off at some random point. You need that to happen sometimes. And I think Titanfall would be kind of like a perfect case of a franchise that was always good, always had like a deeply rooted fan base, but just never caught on really. But now because of Apex and other things, I think Titanfall 3 would freaking ascend through the roof. Meanwhile, I mentioned Deus Ex. Deus Ex is kind of like, I compare them because the quality was there for both. Like, Deus Ex is also an elite franchise. It deserves another game. Titanfall is elite. It deserves another game. But the difference is Deus Ex actually would not be guaranteed whatsoever to sell. That's one that I feel like has actually gotten more and more niche, whereas Titanfall has kind of excelled in the background. But that's pretty much it. I just kind of wanted to throw this video together. It's a franchise that I think does deserve to come back. It's just that they're busy. They're doing a lot of different stuff, and we've had these games similar, right? Games that sounded like they maybe could have been Titanfall, canceled. So it's like, I don't know, like, should it come back? Absolutely. Is it coming back? It seems like the answer is no. Again, I guess it just depends on who you want to trust, and also the possibility or the coping, right, that maybe eventually it happens, right? Maybe it doesn't happen now. Maybe it's even in the works, but just very early, comes out 3, 4, 5 years from now. To have it come out all of a sudden this year or next year always sounded like the most ridiculous part. Not actually the part where Titanfall 3 could be in development. That was not the most ridiculous part. The most ridiculous part was that you could actually get it within the next little while, because it's just, well, where did it come from, right? Do they have like a secret 6 studio there that's been working on it all this time? Never really seemed all that likely. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.